he couldn't sleep the whole night. He would wake up after an hour or two and fight to get back to sleep. He typically woke up once during the night, and sometimes he got up a little too early, but this was a very fitful sleep. It was weird because there was nothing in particular he was thinking about. For some reason, his brain just wouldn't rest. However, one thing was different. The day before, he heard his company was downsizing. But his boss said, "Don't worry, your job is safe." Later, he was introduced to an outside person who was evaluating the duties of everyone in the company. No doubt he was a consultant who would recommend who to cut, what to cut, how much to cut. Even though he was assured his job was safe, it unsettled him. When he spoke to me that day, he said, "I'm confident I can get another job just like this if I get let go. There are plenty of other jobs I can do. I'm not worried." Even though he knew if he ended up being laid off, he could easily find another job, he wasn't sleeping well. Back to work the next day, he still had his job, but it didn't put his mind at ease. It didn't prevent the undercurrent of distress he felt in his body. Within a few days, he applied for a new job. He hadn't gotten one yet, but he started sleeping well again after that. What was happening here? My friend in this story was having a mental reaction that was not actually up to him. Even though he knew logically he would keep his job, his brain was responding to the situation on a much deeper mental level. His brain was reacting to what it perceived to be a life or death threat. You see, our brains like certainty. Certainty is a fundamental human motivational drive. When we don't have certainty, we feel unsafe. It makes us uncomfortable, and it puts us into threat mode. And when we go into threat mode, our brain goes into fight, flight, freeze. Energy moves out of the brain areas that we need to do highly functional activities and puts us into a very narrowly focused, highly agitated state. And there are a number of social scenarios, not just physical, but social, that trigger life or death responses in the brain. In fact, there are so many that the Neuroleadership Institute categorizes them into 5 groups. They're called motivational drivers because they're deeply rooted motivational pathways in the human brain. Regardless what your big goals in life are, what your values are, what your intentions are, how you grew up, what you experienced, what you like and don't like, these are motivators in our brains that cause similar reactions in all of us. They will cause us to move towards someone or something or away from it. They work subconsciously, automatically, and fast. They've been passed down from thousands of years ago, and they're designed to keep us alive. Why do you care about these? Well, if you know about these ancient but very relevant mechanisms of the human brain, you understand how what you do and say will create interactions with people that either enables them to be motivated, helps them to think clearly, and draws them to you, or causes them to be unmotivated, argumentative, and standoffish. Last episode, I shared details about how they work, and I discussed one of the 5 motivational drivers. If you missed it, head over there to episode 36. I won't be repeating much of it here. That being said, that episode was one of my most popular episodes so far. I asked listeners to let me know if they wanted more, and you did. So in this episode, I'm talking about the second category of motivational drivers, certainty. This is Lucy Gable, integrative leadership trainer and coach, author speaker, and professor at the George Washington University School of Medicine. And this is Leadership, Life, Health, and Happiness. The next motivational driver I'm talking about is certainty. Yes, certainty. In my story, my friend's sense of certainty was being threatened, setting off his fight, flight, freeze response. Why is certainty so important? Well, your brain is a pattern recognition machine that's constantly trying to predict the future. We want to become certain about things so we can predict how things will go. More importantly, so we can predict if we need to take action to save our lives, or know if we're in a safe place and we can relax. You can imagine how this is a very important system to have in place for survival. To the primitive brain, uncertainty means we're unsafe. Something could come around the corner anytime and kill us, come up from behind, come up from in front, come up from the sides. We can miss a step and fall off a cliff. But in a very general sense, when we face new activities, when we're in unfamiliar territory, our brain has to work harder. When there's less certainty, the brain needs to use dramatically more resources involving the more energy-consuming prefrontal cortex. It needs to process experiences from moment to moment and make decisions about them in every moment. Even a small amount of uncertainty creates a response in the brain that acts like a bright red stop sign in the middle of your dashboard that can't be ignored. For example, let's say someone you know is not acting with integrity. They're not being the person you expect them to be. Or maybe you feel like they're telling you a half-truth. So you're kind of uncertain about what they're doing, who they're being at the time. And that's going to set off your threat response, causing subliminal stress until you resolve the situation. You can understand how that might stress a relationship. Uncertainty makes people want to run away and hide from the situation or fight. Thus, fight, flight, freeze. It debilitates people from doing good work, and it makes people less able to have good conversations with you and be open-minded and even empathetic. I was just talking about a small uncertainty with someone. Larger uncertainties are much more stressful and even more debilitating. These are things like not knowing if your job is secure, not knowing if you're going to be able to pay your rent, not knowing if relationships around you are safe. I bet you can come up with half a dozen more examples off the top of your head of larger uncertainties that would leave you feeling quite stressed. You could be feeling some of those right now. And any kind of uncertainties for a long period of time will ruin your sleep, hijack your digestion, deplete your immune system, cause you to get sick and cause you to get sick more often. And like I said earlier, it reduces your ability to think. On the other hand, when your brain can predict the flow of life pretty reasonably, it's much more at ease. When people feel safe and certain, they're motivated to keep engaging. They're comfortable speaking up and they don't mind participating. They like to get involved in the interaction. They're comfortable being themselves and they're comfortable speaking the truth. So you're probably putting two and two together right now and realizing that you absolutely want to avoid unintentionally putting someone in an uncertain threat response. You want to avoid unintentionally making someone feel uncertain about you or the environment they're in or the relationships. Instead, you want to create an environment that feels certain and safe. You also want to know how to do that for yourself. Increase your own sense of certainty so that you can boost your own mental abilities and help yourself have motivation to continue moving forward. All that coming up next. We'll start with leadership And we'll end with examples of how you can lead yourself in your personal life. But first, I want to give you some tips that are relatable to every circumstance. If you want people to respect you, to trust you, to like you, even love you, you need to be someone who gives people certainty. And the best way to do that is to be someone who is true to your word. This is the case in leadership, but it's also the case in your personal life. Earlier I said we all have these primal threat modes. So to give people confidence and certainty about you, when you say you're going to do something, do it. If you have to change a direction or change plans, then tell them early and explain it. If you need to end a relationship, whether it be letting someone go from work or something that's more personal, remember how I talked about that people know when something's not right. Their alarm bells are going to be going off no matter if you're saying something to them or not. So don't keep someone hanging on forever. Let them know what's going on and be clear with them. You can let someone go and still have them like you and respect you. The key is to be honest and also be kind. And when you're doing that, cutting something off earlier rather than later, you're doing them a favor and you're also doing yourself a favor by cutting down the stress for both of you. Yes, this kind of thing is hard. We're all navigating through rough waters and we all have to face things that are uncomfortable sometimes. And we're all learning every day. When you're in a leadership role, even if you're leading people through very uncertain times, you can increase their sense of certainty and help them to feel more stable and grounded and less stress. There are many things you can do to reduce the threat of uncertainty and instead help people to feel more certain. These things cost no money, and most of them are small actions, but when you do them consistently, they create big results. Here are some examples. Breaking down a complex problem into small steps that are actionable and reasonable for people. Establishing clear expectations for anything and everything that you can. Stating your goals for meetings or discussions. Verbally agreeing on how long a meeting or a discussion will go. Telling people why certain outcomes are desirable. Telling people why you're asking them to do things in a certain way. Helping them feel like they're equipped to make the right choices and decisions in a bind, or if they need to, think outside the box. Even if you're in a state of uncertainty yourself and you don't have the answers to give people, you can give them a time that you'll get back to them with further information. You can tell them what you're going to do to get that information. You can even ask them for help in figuring it out. All of this really helps people feel more secure, and it helps them to feel like they have more control in their life. On a bigger, more operational scale, company-wide things that give people certainty are things like talking about the big picture, the company goals, and the company vision as much as you possibly can, as frequently as you possibly can. Having operational procedures, having up-to-date job descriptions. And if you don't have these things, you can turn that into a great opportunity. You can include people on creating the mission and your vision and your goals for the company. You can have them help you create plans and procedures, job descriptions, operational descriptions. And that gives people an increased sense of certainty. It helps them to have a feeling of status. It gives them a sense of satisfaction, a sense of importance to you and to the group, and it results in them feeling valued. People will be more loyal to the project, to the group, to the company, and to you. Are you in the middle of difficult or uncertain times right now? This information can be used to help yourself as well. It was not lost on me that many people are in a situation like my friend was. If this is you, you need to create some certainty for yourself, and you want to establish some sense of calm and safety in your brain. This is going to give you the best chance to find your answers, find your next job, or get into your next level of life, or all of the above. You won't be able to see opportunities that are right in front of you if you're in fight, flight, freeze. So if one area of your life is uncertain, create more certainty and safety in other areas. Give yourself certainty buffers. I've personally been in very uncertain situations more times than I can count. One of the main things I always do to help myself feel more mentally regulated is always keeping my workouts. Exercise is something that's always there for me. It's a constant in my life. If I couldn't afford a gym, I knew I could put on my sneakers and go outside. There's always outside, and shoes are a really low-cost investment. If you aren't a runner, you can be a walker. And nature provides a whole lot of different terrain where you can find some hills or other challenges for yourself. You can also find some really beautiful spots that take your mind away from your current problems and just help you to focus and appreciate the beauty that the earth gives us for free. Aside from that, there are always push-ups, squats, lunges, pull-ups, and bands. They provide effective workouts you can get at home and outdoors. To this day, when the stress hits, I exercise more, not less. Your breath is also something that will always be there. Small bits of time focusing on your breath works. For me, 20 minutes is about where I start seeing my brain calm down. It takes practice to stay that long, but just practicing it has been shown to increase brain matter. That means a healthier brain. Healthier brains have more volume, more mass, more matter. I've got some meditations in recording if you're interested. That'll be in episode 33, where you can experiment with my style of practice if you'd like. And you can even just listen to those to help you to meditate for longer periods of time. Some people find calmness and certainty in reading. They have favorite books, or they might have a favorite author. And finally, talking to someone you can completely be yourself around. Someone you know you can trust, who you feel at home with, can provide a sense of certainty. Visit that person or those people regularly when you're going through times of uncertainty. What in your life is certain and healthy that you can go to? Dial up these certainty buffers around you so you can reduce your fight, flight, freeze and help your brain to think better. Because of my background, I need to add here that food and other substances that you would eat are not on the list of things to go to for certainty. Cookies, cupcakes, ice cream, chips, soda, alcohol, or drugs are somewhat certain in that you can expect a specific experience from them and you will get that experience. But this only leads to more problems down the road, and you know that's true. If you find yourself craving sugary, salty, fatty food, fast food, or something else that you ingest, things you know aren't the best for you, the first thing to do is ask yourself why you want that. Will it be the best choice to fulfill that reason? If you're truly hungry, it means your body is asking for a meal. If you're not hungry, ask yourself what you do need. If it's comfort you're looking for, a blanket or some human contact or a hug could be the better answer. If you're cold, it could be tea or hot water. If you're getting sleepy or bored or lethargic, or brain foggy. A walk or exercise will help you wake up and get some blood flowing. Or it could be that you're actually tired and you need more sleep. When you're craving something, the more you ask yourself what you truly need, the better you'll become at giving your body and brain what they need in a healthy way to help them flourish. The healthier you become, the better you become, the more you can do for yourself, and the more you elevate your life. There are 3 more categories of primitive motivational drivers of the human brain. If you want to hear about them, let me know. I'm a leadership coach and trainer with experience in leadership and a background in health science and STEM, which gives me a different kind of take on leadership than most. This is one of the reasons people enjoy my presentations and workshops and my coaching. If you'd like to hear more from me, sign up at lucygable.com/leadership or subscribe to this podcast or this channel. If you'd like a transcript of this episode, send me an email through my website or click on the link below and I'll send it over. I'll talk to you next time.